So I was talking to my friend Jeff about the Netflix original film Bird Box, and he was like, hey, isn't that the one with Sandra Bullock where she's being chased by a boggart? Well, yeah, it is. Bird Box is being compared to A Quiet Place because the monsters, these unseen forces, whatever they are using one of the senses to attack people. And in this case, it's sight. And really the whole premise of the film is that there is something out there that when people see it, their worst fears or their worst sorrows come to life and it causes them to kill themselves. And so you have everybody that either, well, if they look, they die, but then they have to go around with blindfolds on or keep everything completely covered in order to survive. Stories told in two different timelines. One is in the past so that it's showing you the progression of events and how they came to be and what's going on. And then you have the present with Sandra Bullock and these two kids who are trying to get someplace. The action starts almost immediately, which is pretty good because you get a little bit of a glimpse into Sandra Bullock and who she is, and then things start to happen. And so you're not waiting around for just, I don't know what's going on. No, boom, right, here we go. And then through that, you get little glimpses of, hey, this is what's going on. This is why it's affecting people. This is what we're learning. There are a lot of people in this Netflix original film. I was actually quite surprised at how many big name actors you have. So first off, you do have Sandra Bullock. She is the star of this. But then you have John Malkovich, Sarah Paulson, Trevante, Rhodes. We even get Lil Ray Howery and Rosa Salazar. I think the story does a good job of bouncing you back and forth between timelines. I mean, it's very easy to tell what timeline you're in, but it really, I think it draws you in and it keeps you moving in the story because it's not just focusing on one thing, because one of the present day is just a journey. And so, that would be kind of boring unless you threw in a whole bunch of stuff into that. And that really takes away then from the background of what led them into this journey. There is one glaring problem that I have, and I understand because of time constraints that you just can't show every bit of every moment on the screen. But there is a moment in the past that it goes, and it's, I don't know if it's several days or maybe even a month or so before this culmination of events. And then that happens, and then they go 5 years later. Now, 5 years is a really long time in this world where, you have to survive by not looking at things. You go blindfolded, that, there are just this unseen force out to get you. So 5 years of no explanation, I don't know, it seems a little bit weak there. Now maybe in the novel that they actually give more detail and they just couldn't do it for time, but I wanted to know, how did you get to this point? What did you have to do to survive? What travails did you go through? All of these things, because then the last part, the present day, is really only over the course of 2 days. In this, which may be disappointing to some people, I absolutely loved it. We do not see the creatures or the demons or the monsters or the aliens or whatever they are. We don't totally know, and I'm okay with that. That it's just this force that is invisible until you see it, and then it takes on your worst fears or your worst sorrows. Through the course of the film, it does have, this post-apocalyptic feel to it, so it's hard not to think of, any type of zombie movie or anything where there's been this global devastation, so World War Z or even Walking Dead, something like that, where people are having to scavenge for food. They have to be on the lookout all the time, or really not the lookout. They have to keep the complete opposite of the lookout. What is that? I don't know. They just have to be able to survive. And so it does have, elements of that. But overall, Bird Box is a really good watch. It's 2 hours and 4 minutes, which seems a little long, but I didn't really feel the time in this, that it kept me going, it kept me engaged. And the last half an hour or so is when the tension and the suspense and the action really ramps up. Now you have bits and pieces of that at the beginning and sprinkled throughout, but really towards the end, that's where it culminates towards the climax of the film. In the world of hit and miss Netflix originals, Bird Box is one of the best ones. It is really good. I highly recommend it. There is a little bit of sex, no real nudity. There is some profanity and a whole lot of violence. I give Netflix original Bird Box 4.5 out of 5 couches. What's your favorite Sandra Bullock movie? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.